Okay, here we go. So I am a licensed insurance broker. I'm licensed in numerous states, but my focus today is in Pennsylvania, and I've been doing it for quite a while. And I'm an insurance broker, and I want to make that point versus insurance agent. It's very important. As a broker, I represent all the insurance companies that have the products we're interested in. So I can bring the most competitive, high quality solutions to my clients. I check typically 20 private insurers' prices when I do a quote, a Medicare insurance quote. In contrast, in stark contrast, actually, an insurance agent is generally captive by the company they represent. And rarely is that the most competitive product, the most competitive offering. So for me, I really like being an insurance broker. I have access to the best prices, to the highest quality companies, and I then just make those offers to my clients. My consultation services are free. I do receive compensation from the successful company. If we are successful as client and broker, the term is we write the business, and I then get a commission. Now, this presentation is for educational purposes and will not be insurance vendor specific. So you won't be hearing the names of the companies. That's important. That's something. It's an ethical issue. It's for educational purposes, and I'm not pushing anybody's product. It'll not be vendor specific. Let me go back. Okay. And who's the audience? Typically, it's someone already eligible or may soon be eligible for individual Medicare insurance. So it could be someone just turning 65. It could be someone leaving a company's program, a group program, a retiree program, an association program. So it's typically someone that's ready to become an individual Medicare insurance person. So why your interest now? This is amazing. It's amazing to me that they're saying about 85% of the people with policies, with a Medicare insurance policy, do not check, make this check that you're about to make, do not really do their homework. And decisions made in a vacuum can be disastrous. And we'll get to that health wise and money wise. You can really the opportunity to make a bad decision is really here with us in this situation. So you want to be informed in order to make the best decision. That's why you're listening in, and I appreciate that. So what else is going on? As we age, health issues arise, needing prompt diagnosis and expert medical care at a manageable out-of-pocket cost. So I think that's why most of us are involved here. So I want to spend some time. I'm going to talk a lot about out-of-pocket costs. This is your personal responsibility. Every plan has an out-of-pocket max, but most of the advertising does not talk about it. Rarely does it talk about out-of-pocket max. These TV ads talk about $0 per month, all that you get for free. But we're going to drill down into that. So the out-of-pocket max, OOP max, is the maximum personal expense that a very sick policyholder would be obligated to pay annually. So usually we're talking about worst case, someone that would get sick, and they're then going to have to deal with deductibles and copays. And when we'll get into the detail of that. And I'll just repeat this point. The out-of-pocket max is never, ever mentioned in the typical TV ads. You'll never hear them throw out this number, which we're going to talk about. They talk about that $0 per month premium, which, is bait. It's the bait. disclosure, if they were to disclose the out-of-pocket max, it would kill most Medicare Advantage sales. Okay, Medicare Advantage. So we'll make the distinction between the types of Medicare insurance solutions. So why do we examine the out-of-pocket maximum cost in a worst-case health scenario? Because this is the nature of insurance. We buy life insurance to protect against a worst-case situation, which would be death. We buy auto insurance to protect against a worst-case scenario, which would be serious financial loss. We buy homeowners insurance to protect against worst-case serious financial loss. So we should do the same with this health situation, the health insurance. So who are we Hershey Millers? And I saw a profile of pictures, and I think we fit the bill. 50% of us are over age 76. I think it was Suzanne was proud to say she's had her 80th birthday. Congratulations. Another 50% of us are under age 76. So the median age of a Hershey Miller is 76. And I get that from the homeowners people, not the homeowners, the Master Association. So we are really good candidates for care. Now, who are we medically? These Hershey Millers that we are. According to the Medicare claims data, at age 65, most of us have one chronic condition. And, I have this list of the chronic conditions that we do have. At age 75, many have two chronic conditions. At age 85, many have three chronic conditions. So we are ripe for needing care. And, as I say, these are the many conditions: high blood pressure, high cholesterol, cancer, et cetera, et cetera. And we occasionally visit the emergency room. Dawn and Maggie or Margaret, we know about pickleball people that have to go to the emergency room every now and then. And of course, the whole population is involved. This is a statistic from Medicare. The age group 45 to 64, 22.8% of our total population are in that age group, and they frequent the emergency room. 65 to 74, 9.4% of the total population. 75 plus 10%. So, the reality is we use the emergency room. The other reality is we occasionally need hospitalization. And this is another bit of information that confirms that we do. The percentage of population for 70 to 79 is 11.5%, spend time in the hospital. So that's why medical insurance, Medicare insurance, is so important. And we have to really, be very, very careful in what we select. So my focus today is to identify the Medicare insurance solution that realizes the highest quality of care within a manageable cost of care. So they're the yin and yang here. That's the balance. We want the highest quality of care, and we then want to balance our pocketbook costs. What's going to come out of our pocket? Okay. So there are two Medicare insurance solutions, only two, for people that are pursuing individual insurance. There's the original Medicare insurance solution, and I'll be defining that. And there is the Medicare Advantage insurance solution. And that's the one we see on TV. That's the one that gets a lot of press and a lot of airtime. Joe Namath, I don't know if Joe's doing it this year, but we've seen Joe over the years. He's touting the TV solution, which is the Medicare Advantage insurance solution. And they never, ever put forward the out-of-pocket max that a member would have to deal with. So here's our Medicare card. And very important, it has the hospital Part A coverage and the medical, which is outpatient care, non-hospital, Part B. So most of us have a card like this, and some 76.3 million people do. So we're going to focus on now a little bit of the alphabet, Part A, Part B. So Medicare Parts A and B are the required elements of both those solutions, the original Medicare solution and the Medicare Advantage. You've got to have the A and the B, Medicare Parts A and the B. You have to have both of them, A and B, to do either of those insurance solutions that we're going to talk about. So Medicare Part A, it's inpatient insurance for the most part. Hospital, it's known as hospital insurance. It helps cover inpatient care in hospitals, skilled nursing facility care, which is typically rehabilitation care after a hospital event, not necessarily, but generally after a hospital event, hospice care when needed, and home health care to follow that person that was in the hospital, may have gone to a nursing facility for rehab, then comes home. So that's all Part A. It's a continuum of care, Part A. Part B is outpatient focused. And it helps to cover services from doctors and specialists. These are outpatient things. Surgery, physical therapy, occupational therapy, lab, x-ray, imaging, all those things we do, fortunately, not in a hospital, not needed to do in a hospital. Home health care is also under Part B. Durable medical equipment, hospital beds, CPAP, oxygen, many preventative services. So A and B are the foundation we're going to find for all solutions, all insurance solutions, Medicare Part A and B. Now, what is Medicare Part C? That's now what is known as Medicare Advantage plans. Okay, they cleverly put together some things to get us to Part C, which is the Medicare Advantage plans, and the most popular are a HMO and a PPO. And so this Medicare Advantage, known as Part C, it combines A and B with optional Part D. Part D is drug coverage. So this is the Medicare Advantage product packaged up. The HMO is one of those choices. It's known as a health maintenance organization. It's restricted to in-network providers. So this HMO that you might pick is going to have a network, a local network, and you can only use those providers. It's restricted. If you go outside of that network, you pay 100% of that provider's care. So they created a PPO, preferred provider organization, that lets you go out of network. So you still have the local network to work with, and your copays are less if you use the local network within the PPO's local network. But you can go out of network to other providers that you have to find and confirm that they'll accept the reimbursement. But that's a bit of work. And then there's Medicare Part D, the prescription drug plans. So that's a bit of the alphabet. And then we have Medigap plans, also known as Medicare supplement plans. So I'll put it all together, right? It can be confusing. I will put it together and you'll see that. But Medigap plans, also known as Medicare supplement plans, are the secondary insurance to the primary insurance, which would be A and B. So Medigap plans are secondary insurance and help cover the deductibles and copays of original Medicare Parts A and B. They're rigorously defined by CMS, Medicare. CMS is the Center for Medicare and Medicaid. So these plans, these Medicare supplement known as Medigap or one way or the other, they're rigorously defined by CMS. So there's no wiggle room. They're rigorously defined. They're exclusively available from private insurance companies, none of whom I will mention by name, but they must meet Medicare specifications. So that Medicare Parts A and B are rigorously defined, creating the gold standard for benefits coverage. Okay, this is really an important point. There's a wonderful book, Medicare and You, that I have it beside me. You all should be getting it. It's the Medicare Renew for 2025. It has arrived for me. I've got it. My wife has hers, and it is the gold standard for knowing what is available under Parts A and B. It's rigorously defines those A and B benefits. Now, this is a key point. However, the gold standard A and B, as defined by Medicare, are a sure thing only when Medicare Parts A and B are your primary insurance coverage. So the original Medicare insurance solution, which again I'll show with an illustration, the A and the B are the foundation, and there's absolutely no wiggle room in benefits. So we'll get to that. All right. So here's a picture. So your Parts A and B, Medicare Parts A and B, are your primary coverage. It's the gold standard. It's well documented. We then add a Medicare supplement, also known as Medigap, and we also optionally add a customized Part D drug plan. So we've got the A and the B, and we've got the D, and we have the supplement. And that's your original Medicare solution. In stark contrast, that gold standard definition of A and B benefits is replaced, it's set aside with a vendor defined set of benefits for each of the vendors. There may be 20 different vendors, and they're each defining or interpreting what A and B should be when they create a Medicare Advantage plan. That Medicare Advantage plan, the plan becomes your primary coverage. A and B is no longer your primary coverage. So this is where things get lost in the translation, and we'll develop the problems associated with that. I don't like this situation where the insurance company becomes primary and they use their interpretation of A and B, the gold standard A and B, which waters down the gold standard. We'll see. So here's what the Part C Medicare Advantage solution looks like. So we've got the private insurer's interpretation of A and B. They become primary, no longer the gold standard. There's an optional Part D drug plan that most people will buy it that way, will purchase it that way. And then there's the maybes, I call them. That's, maybe this will be included, maybe some hearing, maybe some vision, maybe this, maybe that. We'll get to that. But that's the picture of what a Medicare Advantage solution is. And this is they push the narrative that they push, the advertisers for this product is for $0 a month, you get a ton of maybes. They never ever talk about your out-of-pocket max. So we'll get to that. Okay, let's look at that out-of-pocket max for these different solutions. For the original Medicare policyholder who has a Medigap Plan G, and we'll do some developing of that, Medigap plans typically are G or N these days, Plan G for George, N for Nancy. So if you have Medicare A and B as primary under your original Medicare, you add the Medigap Plan G, the out-of-pocket max, this is for the sickest person in the world, is the sum of 12 months of premium plus $240. That's it. So we will look at premiums, and the 240, I'll explain where that comes in, but that's it. That's the out-of-pocket max. You can pay no more than that. You're guaranteed this will be the maximum, 12 months of premium plus $240. That's pretty easy to figure out. Okay. So for a female age 65, and she has the original Medicare solution, so she has a Plan G supplement, Medicare supplement, her worst case scenario is $1,848. That is it. No more. No high deductible like $5,000, $6,000, $10,000. It's $1,848 because her premium is $134 per month times 12. months is $1,608. Add in the 240, that's Medicare Part B deductible, and and that's what you'll pay. So you have a total of $1,848 with the original Medicare solution that includes a Medicare supplement. Now let's look at the other solution. If we go the Medicare Advantage route, then we use the PPO membership, allows us to go in, we have in-network coverage and we can go out of network. The out-of-pocket max is, and this is the thing you'll never hear, is up to $14,000 annually. Up to 1,400. They never talk about that because it would, I don't think you'd go there because that's your liability. If you were to join a Medicare Advantage PPO as a plan, become a member of that plan, your exposure, if you got sick, is up to $14,000. Okay, and I'll develop that. Okay, so that 14,000 a year is if the out of network OON, out of network doctors and providers, if they accept the reimbursement plan. Some of them won't. And so your 14,000 is one thing, but it goes up from there. It can be much more expensive if the out of network providers do not accept. And that's for real because a lot of them don't want the reimbursement, the Medicare Advantage reimbursement. So no one talks about that. You never hear from the advertisers. You call the companies to enroll and they never talk about it. So just to repeat, this is what the original Medicare solution is. It's parts A and B are primary. That's the gold standard. We add a supplement and we might add a drug plan. And I recommend that you do. Now, on these Medicare supplement plans or Medigap plans, so we're in the world of the original Medicare solution, there are two types to consider. Type G as in George and type N as in Nancy. There are others, but I'll explain why these are the two that, all of my people, my clients go G or N. There is a Plan F was popular for years, but it's now so overpriced. I won't even go there. Plan F is overpriced from a premium perspective. Okay. So I don't sell Plan F. I can convince people they should get, if they want F, I point them to G, Plan G, and it just adds $240. Plan F gets rid of that $240 that I mentioned earlier. That's all it gets you. And it's like 40% more. It's so overpriced. Okay. So Plan G is financially best for someone actively, this is important, actively treating one or more chronic conditions. If they're not actively treating them and aren't seeing doctors and specialists, then I'd say let's do Plan N. But Plan G is for someone actively treating. They might get a diagnosis from one specialist and they want a second diagnosis, maybe want a third. So they're going to be seeing more specialists. And so the Plan G, there'll be no copays for Plan G people. So aside from the monthly premium, Plans G's only out-of-pocket personal expense is the Medicare Part B annual deductible of $240 in 2024. I haven't seen the number for 2025. That deductible, that annual deductible for Medicare Part B might be, I expect it'll be more, but not a lot more. Plan G has no copays. No copays. The only deductible is that 240, and then you have the premium. So that's our out-of-pocket max for the sickest person. I mean, amazing. Plan N is financially best for someone in good health, not going to doctors, primarily seeing very few. And okay, so Plan N is going to have a lower premium, but we're going to pick up a couple copays. It has 3 out-of-pocket personal expenses if you have Plan N, as in Nancy. One is you also have to deal with that Medicare Part B annual deductible of $240. So at that, it looks like Plan G with that 240, but then we have two copays to deal with. There's a maximum of $20. It's up to $20 maximum copay for a doctor visit to see a primary physician or a specialist. It's capped at $20 max. I mean, that's, I think, terrific. It could be 18, it could be 19. It's 20% of the allowed fee. So a podiatrist typically asks for $90 and he gets approved for $90. And so 20% of that is $18. So, but it can never go over 20. You could see the best specialist in the world, well, in the US, and it's capped at $20 with Plan N. And then there's a $50 maximum copay for visiting a hospital's emergency room. And maybe maybe you don't, but ER charges can be, $2,500, $3,000, depending on all the triage things they do. And you're capped at $50 to go to the ER. And it's waived if you're admitted to the hospital. So, I mean, Plan N is terrific. I have Plan N. My wife has G. She wants to check for more alternate, a second opinion, third opinion type of thing. So I'm busy with pickleball, and now Dawn, that I have a new puppy, so I'm busy walking the dog. Okay, so we're still in this original Medicare and solution world. All Plan G policies from the 40 plus private companies are absolutely identical in their coverage. This is rigorously defined by Medicare, CMS. So all Plan G policies are identical. All Plan N policies are absolutely identical. So that's an important point. There could be 40 companies offering Plan G. The delivered benefits are identical, absolutely identical. And they're identical, but you have three out-of-pocket items to pay versus G, which only has the one. So choosing the best Medicare supplement insurer. So if all of those plans are absolutely identical within the plan type, all the G's are the same and all the N's are the same. If all of that's true, each private insurer's monthly premium can be different. Medicare does not control premiums. So the 40 companies for the same product could have a range of price. And so we stick with the most, I'd say the most advanced, most best value, highest value company, highest rated from their financial ratings. And we then look at price. So each insurer's independently set. They set their pricing. They have their own marketing ideas and targets. And if they want market share, they lower their price. If they are comfortable with market share, they hold their price, whatever. But each insurer's independently set monthly premium becomes the big differentiator. Though I acknowledge that I want the insurer to have financial strength. And we get those ratings from a company called AM Best. So I know the financial strength rating of all of these 40 insurers, and I know their prices. So we stick with the financially strong. They have their ratings by AM Best can be started superior, and they drop to excellent, and then they go to good and fair. I only do superior and excellent in the companies that I offer as a broker. Again, that's the power of being a broker. This is a surprise, perhaps for you, but also for me. Within the plan type, whether it's F or G or N, prices vary by as much as 200%. And that's for real. I mean, it's staggering, but it's for real. So I want to choose the Medicare supplement insurer with the lowest monthly premium and having at least an excellent AM Best rating. and that data is available to me, which I share with my clients. So we have this 200% variance. So this age 65 Plan G premium range is 134 per month to 270. That's 200%. 75 Medicare. So let me say this: Medicare Advantage Supplement, Medicare Supplement, or Medigap policies are priced on attained age. So we're at 65, we have a lower premium. At 75, we're now 75, and we represent more risk to an insurance company. So the premium goes up, and so it's 164 to 340. These are real prices from this range of 40 companies. 885, we're now up at the low point is 223 a month to 450. Okay, so that we take advantage of the low premium company who also is has the high good financials, really good financials. So as a broker, I sort through all of that and I represent all those insurance companies in order to bring the most competitive, high quality solutions to my clients. So let's take a look at this other product, the other solution, Part C, Medicare Advantage. Just to repeat, it's the private insurer's interpretation of Parts A and B that are primary. So there's wiggle room. We had no wiggle room when we dealt with the gold standard A and B, but now we've got wiggle room to deal with, and it's been acknowledged in major publications, and I'll get to that. So this Advantage solution, most people will add the Part D drug plan, and we'll get to the maybes. But before that, here's what 2025 looks like. There are 49 Medicare Advantage solutions for our zip code. Under the HMO type plan, there are 25 private insurers offering HMO products, and there are 24 offering PPO products. Okay, so we have 49. So if you want to pursue a Medicare Advantage solution, by rights, you should analyze all 49 of those offerings, because every one, I'm going to use MA, Medicare Advantage, every one of those 49 solutions is absolutely different in their out-of-pocket maximum that go up to $14,000 in 2025. They're absolutely different in copay costs, in the doctors in their network, in the hospitals in their network, in the drugs in their offering, in their interpretation of the A and B, Medicare Part A and B, and in the extras. And we'll get to the extras, the hearing help, maybe some help with vision, maybe some help with dental. We'll get to that. But every one of these 49 plans is absolutely different. So you would really need to call every one of those plans, their administrators, and say, tell me what the out-of-pocket max is. Tell me what your copay costs. I mean, it's horrible. It's horrible to imagine to have to deal with that. For you to make the right decision. That's where, if you blindly pick one, that's where it gets very dangerous. You could be exposed to out-of-pocket maxes that you'll be very unhappy with. You may find that your hospital is no longer in the network that you've been expecting. The docs may not be there. The drugs, we'll see. I'll develop that. I'll show you. So the big picture, where you sit, is confusion reigns. You can spend an enormous amount of time in attempting to analyze the countless differences of 49 Medicare Advantage plans, and you wind up more confused, perhaps. Or you can spend a small amount of time analyzing the absolute likeness of Medicare supplement plans, G and N, because all G's are identical, all N's are identical, no wiggle room. You can focus on the insurer with the lowest price and an excellent financial strength rating. To me, that's enough of an argument to say I want an original Medicare solution. I do not want a Medicare Advantage solution, but that's why you have a choice. And by the way, if you go this way, the original Medicare, you'll save a lot of out-of-pocket max. You really will. And I'll develop that. Okay, so what else are the must-haves? If you're as you're considering purchasing something, we've talked a bit about out-of-pocket costs. You want that to be manageable. We want the plan to be renewable year to year. And there'll be a surprise here for you. Plan renewability, network size and richness. The richness means the specialists, the availability of specialists in the network, because there are specialties that you're not going to find in some of the Medicare Advantage networks. Absolutely not. Adherence to Medicare A and B rules and regulations, and competitive drug coverage. So these are essential elements of a quality solution. And so we should look for these elements in any solution that we're considering. Okay. Now, some of you may have commitments of time. You really didn't know how long this might take. We're not there yet. We've got a ways to go. But so I want to just fast forward to the final report card. Comparing original Medicare solution to the Medicare Advantage solution. And so I'll just tell you where this is going to wind up is the original Medicare solution wins big on all quality of care must-haves. We're going to find that the out-of-pocket costs are absolutely manageable and much lower. The renewability is fantastic. It's automatic. Network size is a huge win when you'll see the network size of original Medicare solutions and their richness. You'll see we use the gold standard. That's our adherence to the rules and regs. And the drug coverage is extremely competitive, and I'll be specific there. So let's take one at a time. So we'll drill down some more on cost. So let's compare each insurance solution's out-of-pocket max worst case financial costs for a sick person. Again, we should really know what the exposure is. You may not be sick now, but that opportunity for an injury that would put you in the hospital, for a surprise illness that would put you in the hospital, that's the way you should look at this. What is our worst case financial cost? Okay, and it comes down to each solution's deductibles and copays for a sick person's medical needs. This is one example of where the gold rule for original Medicare is one thing, and how it gets watered down by these Medicare Advantage people. So here's an example. The original Medicare defines benefit period. It begins the day you go into a hospital or skilled nursing facility. Oftentimes you'll go to the hospital first to get acute care treatment, and then you need some rehabilitation. For instance, someone had a stroke, they're in the ER, they go to the hospital, they get stabilized, and they need to go to the skilled nursing facility for PT, OT, occupational therapy, speech therapy, whatever. But this is the key point. The benefit period ends when you have not received any inpatient hospital care or skilled care in a skilled nursing facility for 60 days in a row. That's really important. So you might go into the hospital for a few days, need a couple weeks of skilled nursing rehab, and that happens over a course of, say, 30 days. So we're still in the same benefit period. If we were rehospitalized, we're back in under the same 60-day picture, and you don't get the hits again on the deductible and copays. So with an original Medicare solution, you can conceivably have 5 benefit periods per year if you just check out how many 60-day intervals there are. Okay, and you could have 5 benefit periods a year, but you're only going to get hit with uh, based on the out-of-pocket max of Medicare supplement, it won't hurt you. I'll show you that. Okay, the Medicare Advantage benefit period, this is in their descriptions of it. Co-pays or co-insurance charges apply each time you are admitted to a hospital or skilled nursing facility until you reach the out-of-pocket max. The Medicare benefit period that we showed in the earlier slide does not apply. They've thrown it out. They've set it aside, and they've created multiple benefit periods, hospitalization periods. Conceivably, you can have a dozen or more copay or co-insurance admission charges in a year. A dozen, not five, but a dozen. So, okay. So let's see how that plays out. So we have original Medicare with Plan G for all ages. We have a Medicare Advantage solution, a PPO with pharmacy included, all ages. So if you call the ambulance for the ambulance, you pay nothing under original Medicare with the supplement G. With Medicare Advantage solution, they get you for $275. Emergency room, nothing on the G side, Plan G, $80 for the Advantage solution. Urgent care, whoops, didn't mean to go that fast. Urgent care, 0 versus 60 for Medicare Advantage. Okay. So now we're going to do hospital in network. So we have a PPO and we're going to stay within network. We're going to, hopefully the hospital that you like is in network and the skilled nursing facility is in network. And so again, under Plan G, if you have original Medicare with a supplement Plan G, you pay nothing for days 1 to 515, nothing. If you go to the nursing facility following that, you pay nothing for day 1 to 100. In contrast, on the Medicare Advantage side, you're paying $360 a day for days 1 to 5, and we're still in network. You know, we've chosen a hospital, fortunately, that's in network, and we pay $200 a day for skilled nursing facility for days 21 to 100 if you're still there. Okay. Now we're going out of network, and there's a reality because these Medicare Advantage companies are narrowing their networks. Maybe Mainline Health doesn't want to deal with them on their reimbursement basis. So we're going to find that hospitals, you really need to check out what hospitals in that Medicare Advantage network and what skilled nursing facility. But I'm going to show you a case where it's a worst case, and that's what we really need to have a sense of. So if we go out of network for a hospital, 45% of the cost for all days. So the typical hospital day charge is $28.25. You can Google that. 45% of that is $1,271 a day if you're out of network using an out of network hospital. 40% of cost for skilled nursing is what the plan says for days 21 to 100. And the typical price is $400 a day. 40% of that is $160. So these are copays that really start mounting up. Okay, so after we're out of the hospital, out of the skilled nursing facility, we might have ongoing doctor visits with Plan G under original Medicare. Doctor visit 0, specialist visit 0, speech therapy, occupational therapy 0 under Plan G. Medicare Advantage, $10 in network for a doctor visit, 40% out. That's 40% of that doctor's charge if you're out of network. $50 for in network to see a specialist, 40% out, 40% in, 40% out. So out of network for doctors, specialists, and PT, OT, et cetera, is 40% of the out of network doctors or providers charge. It gets expensive. Lab services, diagnostic radiology and imaging, x-rays, 0 under Plan G. And then we have copays, co-insurance under Medicare Advantage. So if you sneeze, Medicare Advantage people want a copay. I'm being facetious, but that's about how it works. On the original Medicare solution with a supplement, nothing. Okay, so here's a scenario of a really sick person with a Medicare Advantage plan. So this is round 1, because you could have up to a dozen rounds. the way they define admissions into a hospital or skilled nursing. So we're going to pay $275 for the ambulance, $80 for the emergency room, $1,800, which is $360 a day times 5 days. In network, I'm going to spend some time in the skilled facility. In network, 1,800. Specialist visits. So I've calculated all of this, PT, all of these charges. Just that first round comes to $5,320. So we're working towards a $14,000 max. This continues till we get to 14,000 for a certain PPO plan with a very popular company. Whoops. Okay, so this is round two. Sometime in the year, maybe it could be a month later, by the definition of these Medicare Advantage people, they want an admission every time you go back to the hospital or to a network or to a skilled facility. But we're going to use in-network. We'll continue with in-network, and we're doing round two. So boom, boom, boom. We have another 5,320, and it now comes to 10,640 if you follow that. So we've been into the hospital twice. We've had follow-up with skilled nursing. We have follow-up with specialists, physical therapy, et cetera, imaging. And now we're up to 10,640, and we're not quite to 14,000, but you can get there because this person could be back in the hospital in that same scenario. I had a woman who had congestive heart failure every month. She went into the hospital 12 times a year with congestive heart failure, but she fortunately was in a supplement. So what would the supplement situation do? The serenity of having the original Medicare solution with the Plan G is, so round one is zero. Nothing for the ambulance, nothing for emergency room, nothing in the hospital, blah, blah, blah. So we're out nothing. We're $0 is the cost. Round two for that person, still zero. She has a Plan G. I mean, this is incredible. So our out-of-pocket max at this point is zero. So this worst case scenario for someone with Plan G, the annual spend amount, which is the worst case out-of-pocket max, is simply 12 months of the plan's premium plus the $240 Part B deductible. That is it. And in this case, it was $1,848, as I showed you earlier. I mean, it's simply the Plan G premium, $134 a month times 12 months, plus the $240. That is it. The sickest person that could be. That's it. Okay. And then with a Medicare Advantage plan, we can get to $14,000 a year. And again, that's if the out-of-network doctors and providers, if they accept. If they don't accept, it can be much more expensive, much more than the 14,000. I mean, that's a catastrophe if you have to shell out 14,000 in deductible and copays, and even more if you're out of network, if you're using an out-of-network provider that doesn't accept. Okay. So an enlightened consumer, his choices are, this is a woman, age 65. She can spend $1,848, can plan on being financially responsible for $1,848 per year, or she can be responsible for $14,000 per year if she has a Medicare Advantage solution, and that could be more if those out-of-network providers don't accept. So there's tremendous financial exposure with the Medicare Advantage plan, and they never ever talk about it in the ads. And they've been called out by the government. They've been reprimanded. They've said they'll change, and they still find other ways to just highlight the $0 per month premium. So an enlightened consumer's choice. I just like to show $1,848 per year equals, if you divide by 12 months, it comes out to $154 a month when choosing the original Medicare solution. If you go with Medicare Advantage, that 14,000 per year is equivalent to $1,167 per month when choosing a Medicare Advantage solution, where you may have thought it was $0 per month. This is the TV plan that touts $0 per month. So, I mean, it's just, to me, it's criminal, those advertisers, what they're doing. So an enlightened consumer, okay, the 65-year-old will spend that 1848 per year, not 14,000. The 75-year-old will spend that 2328 per year. That was the sum of 12 months of premium plus $240. The 85 will spend 3096, but we have a little bit of help. If there's a spouse or a partner or another adult living in the same household, most of these companies will provide a 12% household discount. So it looks a little better. That 65-year-old female with the household discount gets that discount. So it'll be 1620 a year. The 75-year-old, it's 1920. The 85-year-old, it's 2724, not 14,000, and possibly more if the out-of-network provider doesn't accept. How are we doing on the other quality of care points? Okay, so we check off out-of-pocket costs. I think that's a big win for the original Medicare solution, and big win. But let's look at plan renewability and these others. And so we'll do plan renewability next. So we're going to look at plan renewability between the two different solutions. Original Medicare, that's your A and your B, and the supplement plans, they renew automatically year to year with the same national network of preferred top docs, top specialists, top hospitals, and the same out-of-pocket max formula, which we showed earlier. These plans are evergreen. They do not terminate until you would stop payment through death or for whatever reason. Okay, so that's the original Medicare renewability, automatic, year to year, and you're going to get the same hospitals, docs, specialists. Now, some retire. We're facing some retirements in certain specialties, but so you might have to make a change, but they're going to be there. They're going to be some substitute or alternative. And in contrast, all 49 Medicare Advantage plans terminate automatically on December 31st of each year. So some of you are probably getting letters saying, we're not coming back. We're finishing on 12/31, and that plan that you thought was the best plan for you is gone. It's not coming back. That's not true of all of them, but they all do terminate automatically. So you've got to spend some time investigating which one you're going to go with for 2025, if in fact you're going to stay with the Medicare Advantage plan. So in the new year, every one of those plans is uniquely different with changes in out-of-pocket max. And as I say, a very popular company with this Medicare Advantage plan is going up to $14,000 out-of-pocket max. So they're going to change their copay costs, their doctors in network, their specialists in network, their hospitals in network. You would really theoretically need to check with 49 different plans to learn if you're okay with who's there, who are their practitioners, what are their costs. So on renewability, it's a big win for Medicare, the original Medicare solution. So let's look at network size and richness. Original Medicare's network is national. You can go to 718,000 Medicare doctors and specialists. It's a combination of Medicare primary doctors and specialists in all 16 specialties. 718,000 are available to you. The same top docs, top specialists, top hospitals are going to be there year to year, aside from retirement and death. of those people. But otherwise, the hospitals don't die. Fortunately, you're going to have the same top hospitals, the same top, hopefully same top docs. But the only reason they wouldn't be there is retirement or death. So we have the 718,000 Medicare doctors, but we have 6,023 Medicare hospitals. 407 are five-star hospitals. 1,136 are four-star. And that's important. Five-star, four-star. And we'll make a point of that a little later. Now, in contrast, the Medicare Advantage networks, whether it's an HMO or PPO, it is a limited local network. And the typical size, this is from CMS, there's one, the broadest of these networks of a Medicare Advantage, they have 2,748 doctors and 48 hospitals, which sounds like a lot, but you're going to find specialists are lacking certain specialties. And we're comparing that to original Medicare's 618,000 doctors and 6,023 hospitals. Then there's a medium network, 1,300 doctors and 22 hospitals. There's a small network, 516 doctors and 13 hospitals. So when you might talk to one of these Medicare Advantage companies, they're not saying, well, we have a broad network, we have a medium network, we have a small. You really have to dig in and query them on, are your doctors there? Are your hospitals there? Okay, so what contributes to consistently better medical outcomes? All right, so that's what we want, right? We want a good diagnosis and we want to be treated and successfully. So we want a timely and accurate diagnosis. So no referrals is a real plus. Okay, see where we are on that. We want timely and successful treatment or procedure following that diagnosis, that accurate and timely. And so, when we get to the procedure, we want the top docs and the top hospitals. Okay, so this is just a generic picture of what gets us a better outcome. So let's look at how that works. The path to the best outcomes. So we have original Medicare, where the network is the entire USA of primary doctors and specialists, 718,000. And a Medicare Advantage, let's pick their broadest network, 2,748 doctors. So where do you think, statistically, best outcomes, your opportunity for best outcome when you have access to the entire USA of specialists? It's not a stretch to say most likely the best outcome is there with original Medicare, and the less likely outcome is with a Medicare Advantage broadest. Okay, so let's look at that in another way about hospitals. So we have, with original Medicare coming across, we've got 407 five-star hospitals, 1,136 four-star hospitals. So we could be anywhere in the US and have an emergency and need to go to the hospital, and we have the most likely chance of a best outcome with original Medicare, where Advantage is not going to let you go out of network. You could be in Florida and you've got an Advantage plan and it says, well, you better go to Bryn Mawr Hospital or whatever. Okay, and so again, it's not a stretch to say the best outcome most likely is with the original Medicare solution. That broad network for Medicare Advantage has 48 hospitals, 2 are five-star, 4 are typically four-star. So this is easy to figure out. I mean, this is not hard to figure out. Now, this is an interesting illustration. U.S. News presents this every year. In 2022, they presented the best hospitals, and they basically said which hospitals can do all 16 specialties. That's a stretch. Which hospitals can do it. So cardiology down through rehabilitation, they're the specialties, and these hospitals can do them all, but they then look at what is number one for cardiology? Cleveland Clinic. What's number two? Mayo Clinic. What's number well in cancer? What are these best hospitals? Number one's Anderson. You notice I have Bob there. Bob is, God rest his soul, at the time, this is maybe 15 years ago, he had a stage 4 cancer that University of Penn said, Bob, you go to Anderson Clinic in Houston. They have a cocktail that is really working. We do not yet have it. He went there and he beat the stage 4 cancer for almost 10 years. I mean, it wouldn't have happened had he used local hospitals. So he went to Anderson and it worked for him. Under neurology, I have a friend and client that was told she had Lou Gehrig's disease. Penn and Jeff said she has Lou Gehrig. Fortunately, her son, who is a doctor, said, Mom, I want you to get to Mayo Clinic in Minnesota. And she went there, and after 4 days of testing, they said, you do not have Lou Gehrig's disease. We know what you have. We have a medication for it. She's never been back, and this is 10 years later. She's still doing quite well. Just wonderful news there. She did not have Lou Gehrig's disease, which really was going to be just horrible. And then another Hershey Mill person, Joe, he had severe back spinal issues. No one wanted to do the surgery here. So he went to hospital for surgery in New York, and he was out in 2 days. And I played tennis with him maybe 6 months later for maybe 5 or 6 years. Another success. So because these hospitals across the country are in the original Medicare network, they're there. I noticed Will's Eye on ophthalmology, is highly regarded for ophthalmology. So we have that. But that would be in probably most Medicare Advantage networks, probably, but maybe not. But it's definitely in all original Medicare networks. So, I like having, I'm not anxious to get on a plane and go to Houston, but I would, if I had a stage 4 prostate cancer diagnosis. Okay. Just the point is 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars. A lot of people talk about the plan's rating. And there are no 5-star Medicare Advantage plans. So the plans are being rated 5-star, 4-star. There are none in our zip code, none Medicare Advantage plans. As a matter of fact, one of the top companies was downgraded to 3 stars, their Medicare Advantage plans, and they are really upset. Their stock really took a hit. So no 5 stars on the Medicare Advantage plans, but you could say all of the Medicare supplement plans are 5-star. So network size and richness, another big win for original Medicare. So let's look at the adherence to Medicare A and B rules and regs. So I point to the Medicare and You, well, now 2025 handbook. We get one every year. They rigorously define the A and the B. They're the gold standard. And so this is where I'm concerned. Okay. So who's primary in these solutions? If we have a original Medicare solution, the parts A and B are primary as defined by CMS Medicare. Okay, they're defined. If we look at the Advantage solution, the private insurer's interpretation of A and B are primary. Big difference. CMS Medicare, that's another way to say Medicare, defines and enforces the Medicare supplement plans. Each private insurer interprets and defines its own A and B benefit rules. I don't like that. There's no wiggle room, absolutely no wiggle room on benefits eligibility, where on the Medicare Advantage side, inherent wiggle room leads to early discharges from hospitals, from skilled nursing facilities, and claim denials. And that's been widely reported in the press, those problems of the wiggle rooms. Okay. Another look at this is, So we on the original Medicare side, original Medicare solution, A and B are primary, no referrals required for seeing specialists. Prior authorizations are rarely required. On the Medicare Advantage side, the private insurers' interpretation of A and B are primary. Referrals are often required for seeing specialists. Prior authorization requirements for some procedures lead to delays. Not good. So, New York Times, I have a copy of that, in December 3rd, 2022, reported Medicare Advantage plans often inappropriately delay and deny needed care, also inappropriately deny payment. Wall Street Journal, 10/15/23, key specialists are unavailable in Medicare Advantage network. Paperwork problems, time-consuming appeal of denied benefits lead to paperwork problems and a lot of time consuming. Delays due to prior authorization needs. So, just the turnaround time on a prior authorization request might take a couple weeks and you needed surgery or something. Switching to a Medicare supplement from a Medicare Advantage plan is unavailable once dealing with chronic illness. So that's another gotcha. If you're in a Medicare Advantage plan and you become chronically ill, it's not impossible to make the move over to original Medicare, but it gets quite difficult. I don't think I'll get to spend any time on that, but the way to think about it is you're locked into that Medicare Advantage solution when you get critically ill, chronically ill. You don't have the opportunity to switch to what I consider the superior solution, namely original Medicare solution with the supplement. So we have another big win on adherence to the Medicare parts and rules, and we'll look at drug coverage. Original Medicare solution includes an optional, but I recommend it, Part D drug plan that's customized to be competitive. It's unique to you actually, we put in the names of your drugs and it analyzes the plans and comes back with the most cost-effective plan. So it's customized and competitive. On the Medicare Advantage solution, if you go with a drug plan option, it's captive. It does not customize. It's it. One size must fit all. I don't like that personally. Okay. So the original Medicare solution has a drug plan finder tool, which searches 14 Part D drug plans based on an individual unique drug list. Now, so this is available to me, to you. Monthly premiums for this standalone drug plan for people have the original Medicare solution. They start at zero this year in 2025. There's a plan that's nothing, zero per month. The deductibles range from 0 to 590. So this plan, I'll call it drug plan 1, is 0 cents per month, 590 deductible. The next one in line is 1260 a month with 590 deductible. So the Medicare Advantage plans with captive coverage, you're in a crapshoot in being tied to the Medicare Advantage plan without drug customization. Drug deductibles and copays do not count towards the out-of-pocket max. That's kind of like another negative hit. So you're spending $2,000 or whatever on drugs, and that doesn't count towards that $14,000 max. That's on top. Okay, so we have another big win on competitive drug coverage for the original Medicare solution. A lot of people will ask about free gym memberships. I have several high-quality supplement insurers who include the Silver Sneakers Light free gym membership. Most Advantage, I'll give them credit. Most Medicare Advantage insurers include the Silver Sneakers Light free membership, free gym membership. They do. But we'll put that in perspective. It's $50 a month, let's say, to go to the YMCA. So getting $50 a month in a free gym membership, is it worth spending being exposed to a $14,000 out-of-pocket max. I don't think so. So the final report card, the original Medicare solution, wins big on all quality of care indicators. We have, the original Medicare solution is better on out-of-pocket max, better on plan renewability, better on network size and richness, better on adherence to Medicare A and B rules, better on competitive drug coverage. Now, let's look at the extras or the maybes of the Medicare Advantage plan, which again is more bait. You have the $0 per month that the TV ads tout, and then the additional bait are these maybes. So here's our Medicare Advantage solution, a Medicare Part C. So we have the primary is the insurer itself, the company, with their own interpretation. Let's say we add the optional drug plan and the maybes. Each one of them, 49. Maybe the plan has a 5-star hospital. I don't know. You have to find out. Maybe your doctor is in the plan. You don't know until you check, and you shouldn't count on their directories, which are out of date. That's another knock from our federal government. They're saying those directories are oftentimes 2 and 3 years out of date. So you can't go by the directory to see if your doctor's in the plan, even if it's an online directory. So maybe your doctor is in the plan, maybe your hospital is in the plan. And back to the first one, maybe it has a 5-star hospital. Maybe let me say, maybe the out-of-network specialist will accept the PPO reimbursement. Maybe the premium is zero. There are some plans that don't have the zero, but most of them have the $0 per month plan. Maybe your drug is covered. Maybe you qualify for the Medicare Part B give back, maybe $50. Maybe foreign emergency care is covered. Maybe dental, vision, hearing are covered. Okay. So maybe. So these ads say, when you get these television ads, you must call now to see what non-Medicare, and I mentioned non-Medicare, these aren't Medicare extras, these are non-Medicare extras, may be covered in your zip code. Everything's maybe. So I raised this question. Is a $50 per month give back benefit? That could be the equivalent of a free gym membership, or it could be actual help on Medicare Part B payments. Is it worth the financial exposure of $1,167 a month? That's $14,000 a year divided by 12 months, 1167. Most of the 24 Medicare Advantage plans, PPO plans, do not have the give back lure. I call that a lure. Is the extra hearing benefit worth the financial exposure of $1,167 a month? The typical extra hearing benefit is no coverage of the hearing aids, $35 copay for a hearing exam, but you can also get help from original Medicare for that, and a free hearing aid fitting. Is that worth $1,167 a month? I don't think so. Is the extra dental benefit worth that exposure? The typical extra dental benefit is as follows: a $500 maximum per year. Great. I get $500 in benefits, and I put myself at the risk of $1,167 per month, or $14,000 per year. Oral exam, it's free if you're in network, 50% but all of this comes under the $500 max. You no more than that, but you can get it if all you're doing is an oral exam and a cleaning. It's free in network, is 50% co-insurance out of network. Services such as non-routine, restorative, endodontics, periodontics, etc. 50% of the contract price in network, 70% co-insurance out of network. But again, it has to fall under that $500 max and more. But to me, none of this is worth it to put yourself at risk of $1,167 a month. So the reality check, Hershey's Mill seniors are better served by the original Medicare solution because they are able to recognize that all of the quality care requirements are in place and total annual cost exposure is lowest. And there's a huge bonus with original Medicare. If you travel outside the US, and many of our seniors do, only the original Medicare solution with Medicare supplement plans covers $50,000 its lifetime of emergency medical care. This is a huge bonus. I've had numerous clients who have traveled overseas and have needed emergency care. One gal was in Ireland and was hospitalized like for 6 weeks. Her bill was $42,000, and it was of the 42,000, 80% of that 42 was covered, and she had it would cover up to 50,000. The way they do it is though they discount 20%, so you get 80% of the bill. So she got like $36,000 back on that 42,000. And so only Medicare supplement plans do this, cover the out of the U.S. coverage for emergency care. That to me, as I say, I've had 3 clients that have cashed in on that. They were hugely relieved. Okay. Last but not least, yesterday we started the annual enrollment period, AEP, October 15th to December 7th, with changes that you would make taking effect on January 1. Changes you can make are you can change from a Medicare Advantage plan to original Medicare, where you add the supplement and a drug plan. Now, this is interesting. When January 1 arrives, let's say you do nothing. You sit there, you've got your Medicare Advantage plan, you do nothing. A lot of people will just do nothing. They say 80, 85% of the people do nothing. They just stay with what they have and they get hurt. But we had what was called the Medicare Advantage disenrollment period that ran from January 1 for 45 days. They've extended it to 90 days. It was known as the Medicare Advantage disenrollment period because they knew people finally came to terms with, this is not working for me. This is too expensive. This $0 per month plan isn't $0 per month. There's no free lunch. And they want to come over to original Medicare. So now we have 90 days where you can do that in the new year. So, but right now in this AEP, annual enrollment period, you can make that change if you have had access to the knowledge to do it. You can switch to within Medicare Advantage world. You can go from one of the plans, there are 49, to another one. That's something you can do in this AEP. But that's where you have a lot of work to do. You can change from original Medicare to Medicare Advantage plan, which I feel is suicide, but you can do that. You can join, switch, or drop a Part D drug plan. So valuable resources, 1-800-MEDICARE or www.medicare.gov, Medicare and You, I should say 2025 handbook, Joe Murphy, okay, etc. And that's it. I don't know who's still alive out there because it's an awful lot of information, but I don't know how else to convey it. You need to be able to hang in there. Okay. Thanks for participating.
Thank you so much, Joe.
I feel bad putting people